Hey guys, it's Amanda. I just want to start this video off by saying that there will be music and maybe some footage that is not mine, and I will put all of the rights and links in the description below, so please do not report me for copyright. Now that we have that out of the way, back to the video. For this video, I'll be doing something I really haven't done before. As my final for a culture and technology class that I took this semester, I'll be doing a video project. The assignment was to pick any technology that came to mind and to see if we can try to connect it into 8 different categories, which are the digital age, evolution, religion, environment, human health, government, freedom and cross-culture, and responsibility. I put up annotations that you can click on so you can skip around from section to section if you don't want to go listen to this entire video. Unless you want to, then in which case, let's begin! Also, I apologize in advance for how long this video is about to be. So, the technology I chose was YouTube, which is why I'm making this video. I chose this topic because I spent an embarrassing amount of time watching random videos with the content ranging from educational to flat-out entertainment. I'm not even kidding, I spend way more time on here than I do doing my homework, and I still manage to get A's and B's. I'm also interested in doing this topic for my project because it'll also give me a chance to improve my video editing skills. As my YouTube addiction grows, it'll be interesting to see how this social media outlet is involved with other topics. Besides, who said I couldn't use my procrastination tool of choice to my advantage? Now for the basics. YouTube is a free video sharing social media website that allows people to share video content from all around the world. As far as history goes, YouTube was created by Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jawad Karim on February 14, 2005, and was bought by Google on November 13, 2006. Now let's get on with the topics. First up is YouTube and the digital age. In this section, I'll be explaining how YouTube ties in with the digital age along with multitasking and books. The first thing that comes to mind right off the bat in this section are digital natives and digital immigrants. With those terms in mind, it all depends on when you were born. Digital natives are people who were born into the digital age or after the 1990s, and digital immigrants are people who were alive before a new piece of technology came out. For example, I was born in 1997, so I would be considered a digital immigrant when it comes to using YouTube. I actually didn't start becoming immersed in watching YouTube videos until my family finally got rid of dial-up in 2009. When it comes to multitasking, there is absolutely no official research or studies whatsoever about the social media website itself. There are tons of videos on YouTube about how difficult it is to multitask, along with how to multitask between YouTube and other phone apps. There's no official research about YouTube and multitasking. The closest thing I could find was this article from the New York Times in 2010 about growing up digital. In the article, there are many quotes from a student who was 17 at the time who wanted to become a filmmaker and spent many hours watching YouTube tutorials on filmmaking. The link to that article is in the description below if you want to take a look at that. However, just because there is no official multitasking research, that doesn't mean I can't make up my own from personal experience. This goes as far as me getting sucked into what I'd like to call the black hole of videos while attempting to do homework or something that's actually productive. The black hole of videos is basically binge watching tons of videos for hours on end without realizing it. Those of you who watch videos as much as I do know exactly what I'm talking about. This is also known as accidentally going to that side of YouTube. As for books about YouTube, not only are there books on how to develop successful channels, but there are also many books by YouTube creators. For example, I'm a huge fan of Dan and Phil, aka Dan is on Fire and Amazing Phil. So I have both of their books right here. Their first one the amazing book Is Not on Fire. And their second book that I just recently got is Dan and Phil Go Outside, which is basically just pictures, just a photo memoir of their tour from the last year and a half. Some other books by YouTubers are I Hate My Selfie by Shane Dawson and Binge by Tyler Oakley. Those are just like 4 of many books by YouTubers. If you want to look up some other books, you can just Google books by YouTubers and you'll get a huge selection. The next topic is evolution. In this section, I'll explain both the general aspect of evolution and how YouTube has evolved as a website. According to research, it has been thought that the left hemisphere of our brains is in charge of being logical, whereas the right hemisphere is in charge of keeping us entertained. However, that's actually not how it all works. It's really all about how the creative process is actually patterns of neural activation and deactivation, and that's where the creativity aspect comes in. In a way, YouTube is an extension of our brains and is a way of mimicking ourselves as a species. This all explains how the website can be considered an artifact. An artifact is defined as something that we use and is considered an extension of something that we already have. It's in our nature to be creative. How will we be where we are today without being created to some degree? How will we have music, art, movies? There's an article from The Guardian that further explains how creativity is a complex psychological phenomenon, so that link is also in just the description below. The evolution of YouTube can also be complex. From the layout of the video players to the amount of ways people can broadcast themselves, as the tagline would say. In 2005, everything was as simple as being able to watch videos, comment, and subscribe to the creators. Now it has expanded to obtaining the ability to broadcast live streams, and recently, YouTube has created a Netflix-like system called YouTube Red, where you can watch videos without ads and be able to let the video keep playing even after you've locked your phone if you're watching it on a mobile device. With YouTube Red, our favorite content creators have created much bigger projects for their fans, such as made-for-YouTube movies and documentaries. People who watch YouTube a lot know what I'm talking about, but for those of you who have no idea what I'm saying and are now watching this with one eyebrow raised, I promise it's a lot cooler than it sounds. Next up is religion. Yes, I have to connect YouTube with religion somehow, but I promise I'll make it painless. For those of you who are religious, I promise to be as respectable as possible, as I myself was born into a religious family. In this section, I'll explain, as I mentioned, how YouTube ties in with religion, along with briefly explaining the difference between science-based belief systems and faith-based belief systems. So the difference between science-based and faith-based belief systems are fairly simple. Science-based belief systems are built on provable facts and logical thinking, and faith-based belief systems are built on believing in a higher being like God and prophets like Buddha, Jesus, and Muhammad. For example, science-based systems conduct experiments and does research that provides evidence about any certain thing. Faith-based belief systems are more about how one belief is interpreted. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that lying, stealing, and other inappropriate behaviors are against every single religion under the sun. Let's take a look at some of the YouTube videos we've seen. Let's all be honest here, some of the videos we watch contain foul language or other forms of inappropriate content. I'll be one to admit that some of the YouTubers I watch do use foul language, but not all of them do. And as far as inappropriate content goes, that's all I have to keep in mind when I'm watching something with my parents in the room. I just need to make sure I have my earbuds in. not a problem. Now let's take a look at what the Bible has to say about bad language and entertainment. Chapter 3, verse 8 of Colossians says, "But now you must rid yourselves of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, filthy language from your lips." I won't lie, I do agree with this verse. With what's been on the news lately, I'd say we can all learn from this verse. Using curse words out of anger won't make things any better. In fact, it could make things much worse. But here's what I will say though. As I've gotten older, I have realized that while it's not a good excuse, people who swear aren't swearing out of anger or rage or to be malicious. People who cuss and swear aren't always bad people. Sometimes those words may slip out when we're telling an intense story or when we're around other people who may also swear. Another thing the Bible has to say while we're allowed to entertain ourselves, we need to be classy about it. So that means no porn of any kind or anything that involves demons. And I agree with that 100%. I feel like that's all I have to say about that one. I have the links for the Christian beliefs on both bad language and entertainment in the description below. For this next section, I'll be going over how YouTube relates to the environment within 4 different concepts of ecology: deep ecology, social and green ecology, feminist ecology, and queer ecology. The ecologies are a bit tricky when explaining how they connect with YouTube, so some of these may actually connect more with electronic waste instead. Before I go into anything, electronic waste or e-waste is exactly what it sounds like. Garbage consisting of old, broken, and worn down electronics like phones, computers, TVs, well, you get the idea. First is deep ecology. Deep ecology is an ecology that is very philosophical and, well, deep. Basically what deep ecology says is that we need to get off of YouTube and abandon our electronic devices and go back to going outside to get fresh air. E-waste is destroying our environment by letting toxic heavy metals like mercury, lead, and flammable substances decay in the ground in landfills. Not only that, but watching excessive amounts of YouTube or TV in general also causes health consequences, which I will further explain in the human health section. If we quit our electronic addictions cold turkey, we can cut down on our world's electronic pollution and health risks down by a ton. Also, if we have to use these electronics, stop watching YouTube so much because it will drain your computer's batteries, which in turn will create more e-waste when the computers eventually break down. Green ecology is next. This ecology talks about how because we caused environmental issues, we have to fix it or at least reduce it the best we can. One thing we can do to help eliminate e-waste is to go to a facility that knows how to safely recycle the electronics. I have linked into the descriptions a list of fantastic places to turn in your old electronics and help reduce electronic waste. Next is the feminist ecology. This ecology involves how women aren't treated the same as men, much like the way the environment isn't treated fairly. But the point I want to get across has to do more with YouTube than the environment. One thing is certain, there's more males than females on YouTube, and I have noticed this. Of all the YouTubers I watch, I could count the amount of women I watch on one hand. Even in the video I did for my college's YouTube channel for my top 10 list of YouTubers, only 2 women are on that list. And yes, I am aware that there is far more channels from women than the ones that I watch, but those tend to be beauty channels, and I don't wear makeup, nor do I have the dexterity to put on my hair in a basic ponytail, let alone do some fancy hairdo. I'm by no means trashing beauty channels. I would just honestly rather watch something that makes me laugh or something I can sing along to, but that is just me. I could be totally wrong on this because I'm not very observant at all, but I feel like the reason why I haven't seen very many women doing comedy is because maybe they've been told that they're not funny and that is stopping them from trying. For me, I know I'm not funny, nor do I think I have much of a talent for singing. However, none of that stops me from posting what I want. My channel is basically just random stuff I feel like posting at that given moment. I do think that if people, specifically women, do what I do without caring about what other people thought, there would be more channels created by women to choose from. Maybe then more women would get more respect for putting themselves out there and trying. Now the last ecology I'll discuss is the queer ecology, which is basically LGBT's views on the environment, which again, I will relate to YouTube, and boy do I have a lot to say. The LGBT community is oftentimes ridiculed for not following social norms and is therefore being considered outcast and treated differently because of it. Likewise, many times people who create YouTube videos for a living are also being ridiculed because what they do isn't considered a real job or because they have a career that's going nowhere. The truth is, however, YouTubers actually make a decent amount of money and are competing on shows such as Dancing with the Stars and The Voice. Also, if creating YouTube videos isn't considered a career, how can they afford to compete on the popular shows? How are they able to hire people to make and sell their merchandise? How can they afford to go on successful tours around their home country or even the world? The answer, their talent along with their viewers. Remember those health consequences I was talking about earlier? Let's discuss those. The first one I want to talk about is eye strain. When you were younger, your parents may have told you something along the lines of, watching too much TV is going to hurt your eyes. Well, it turns out that they were right. It's a medical fact that watching too much TV or paying attention to a bright object for a long period of time can cause eye strain. This is because when you're staring at a bright object in an otherwise dark room, your eyes try to compensate for how much light is allowed into your eyes. Your pupils are dilated, which means in the dark, you can see more than you could if they weren't dilated. So when you watch something bright in the dark, your eyes become strained. More information on that is in the description below. Another downside to YouTube is how the negative comments affect people. Some of these comments can do some real damage to a person's self-esteem and even cause anxiety. This anxiety could keep creators from posting onto their channels. Either that or it keeps people from starting their own channels and posting their own content because they're scared of what people will think or because they believe they're not good enough. While there are bad sides of YouTube, we would rather see the good sides of it. One of the most common reasons people watch YouTube is because, for me and many others, it's a coping mechanism. When I'm stressed, I turn to YouTube to have a good laugh or to listen to music. YouTube is an escape for some people. YouTube can help people find and even discover their voice. Many of well-known and loved creators created their channels because they also saw how YouTube is a way to escape and they want that for other people. Another highlight of YouTube is that more and more nowadays, teachers are using it to teach specific concepts of their curriculum. For example, this summer I took an online film analysis class, and my instructor used videos that he posted on his channel to demonstrate certain film aspects. Another example is that some teachers even have their lectures on their channels to teach their students that way. Next up is government. Now, I'm aware that the two things you're supposed to avoid to not start arguments are religion and politics, but for the sake of my assignment, I have to talk about both to some extent. Though I do believe that so far I've done a pretty good job of making it painless, and I will continue to do so. For this section, I have to briefly explain the philosophies of Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians, and I'll also explain copyright laws. Then I'll discuss which one of the political parties would be more likely to support those laws. And also, I will admit that I know next to nothing about politics, so this is just my interpretation, and I will have links to everything in the description. That way you guys get a better understanding in case I'm wrong about something. With how immersed the whole world was during this last election, I highly doubt I need to say that in American politics, there are two main parties, Republicans and Democrats. But what some people may not know is that there's also a third party people discuss called the Libertarians. Positioned between Democrats and Republicans, Libertarians typically support ultimate freedom such as legalizing gay marriage, free college, legalizing weed, basically everything that lets us do what we want to without any regulations. They want us to be in control of our own rights. Some are more Democratic and others more Republican, but ultimately libertarians have the same views. In other words, they believe that we should be able to do what we want just as long as we're following the law. Telling the difference between Republican and Democrat can be somewhat difficult for me, so just bear with me. I'll start with the Republicans. Republicans usually want to lower taxes and have less regulations to increase profits for business owners, but they also want the government to be in charge of regulating the economy. Most Republicans believe in the Christian faith and are very conservative, so they want to ban gay marriage, weed, abortion, except for cases of rape and incest, and anything else that goes against Christian beliefs. Yet, ironically enough, while they want safer gun laws, they are totally against having restrictions and regulations on who can and cannot own a gun. Democrats, on the other hand, are almost the complete opposite. They want to increase taxes and regulations on industries so more money can be handed to not only the business owners, but to the employees as well. They also want to legalize weed, gay marriage, allow abortions, and have stricter gun laws by regulating who can and cannot own a gun. Now that we have the idea of the views of the three political parties, let's take a look at copyright laws. This could probably go without saying, but copyright laws protect original works of authorship of a media of any kind. This goes for books, movies, TV shows, art, music, and of course, online content. Even though I would hope all three parties support copyright laws, when it comes down to it, I believe that the Republicans would support these laws the most because they're all about business. Again, they want profits to go to the business owners, or in favor of YouTubers, they would want all of their credit to go to the rightful creators. Next is freedom and cross-cultural analysis. But first, how does YouTube relate to freedom? Well, freedom of speech. The First Amendment of the United States Constitution states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Which basically means that the Constitution protects our right to be able to say and publish what we want, along with our right to practice religion if desired. However, just because we do have the right to say what we want, that does not mean we won't get in trouble if we cross the line. In other words, if you're going to voice your opinion about something, make sure you have your facts straight and that you're being respectful about it. If you are caught saying or writing something that will get you into some serious trouble, then you could be charged with libel or slander. No, I'm not talking about the creepy dude known as Slender Man. I'm talking about slander, meaning a spoken defamatory statement. Libel is a written form of a defamatory statement. Now for the cross-cultural part of this section. How do I explain it without getting this video flagged? Speaking of freedom of speech, or lack thereof, I actually didn't know this at all, but apparently YouTube, amongst other popular websites, are banned from China. According to Quora.com, YouTube, along with Facebook, is banned because there is no such thing as freedom of speech in China. This is because over there, they have a communist government, meaning the government controls what everyone says, how they say it, what they do, and all that stuff. J.R. Raphael from PC World says that it was banned in March of 2009 after videos of riots in Tibet were uploaded. Raphael also mentioned how one of China's foreign ministry officials, Qin Gang, said, China's internet is open enough, but also needs to be regulated by law in order to prevent the spread of harmful information and for national security. I think what he's saying is that even though we already regulate the internet, it needs to be regulated even more. We wouldn't want anyone getting ideas we wouldn't approve of. So basically, the difference between the United States and China is that we can essentially say what we want to a certain extent, while in China, the government controls what you can and cannot say. And finally, I will be ending this video with how YouTube connects to responsibility. If you ask me, it really depends on the person. Personally, I think it could go both ways, because while there are videos of idiots doing stupid things, there are also responsible use of videos. Another aspect of responsibility involves, again, the copyright law. This is probably the third time I've mentioned this, but it's one of the most absolute laws. A handful of channels have been taken down because of it. Story time! As I have mentioned before, I'm obsessed with Dana's Not on Fire and Amazing Phil, and I wanted to make a video for Dan's birthday. I've seen so many montages and mashups for him and Phil and many others, so I thought, hey, why not? People do it all the time, wouldn't hurt. I spent literally all day downloading the videos I wanted for the video and editing them together and added a clip of music. All of that, 8 hours worth. It got muted and blocked within 5 minutes of me uploading it. Even though I put a copyright disclaimer in the description and at the end of the video. So yeah, make sure that if you're making a video and you use content that is not yours, make it clear so you don't get bit in the butt like I did. The last thing I have to mention is my opinion for whether or not I think robots will and should take over the world. You may think I'm kidding, but I'm totally not. The last question to this section actually asks, will and should robots take over the human species? Why or why not? I have to say yes and no to this question. I say yes because I think considering how addicted we are to electronics, I could definitely see how robots could take over. But should they? No. Just because robots are faster at doing the same things we can, that doesn't mean we should give up the jobs that we as humans are very capable of doing ourselves. Out of all of the categories, I think evolution, freedom and cross-culture, and responsibility are the most important categories of all of this, because I think that they give us an idea of what the site can do to keep us more informed. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. And if you lasted the whole way through, then I applaud you. Please make sure that you like, comment, and click subscribe if you want to see me do more videos. They most likely will not be as educational as this one was, but please be sure to stick around for more.